off. What are you putting on? You're putting on Jesus Christ. You're putting on His life in your life. And what are you putting off? All the stuff that you see in your life, so that you know what? I don't want to be that person. Because remember, there are three options here. Either you ignore it, it's like, you know what, it's sin, who cares, whatever, and you shipwreck your faith. Number two, you try really hard only to figure out that you can't. Or option three, you allow Jesus to transform you from the inside out. Putting on the new you, putting off. And that's also important. It's not just, oh yeah, God loves me. You also separate yourself from the stuff that you know that shouldn't be you. So when you see all those sin lists in the Bible, instead of seeing that as a list that you slap people in the face with, you look at it, it's like, oh, of course no, I shouldn't be an adulterer, I shouldn't be a liar, I shouldn't be a thief, or all of this stuff. Why not? Because that's not who I am. You understand? It's totally the opposite. It's totally the opposite. Alright? You start running where Jesus Christ finished. Where did Jesus Christ finish? When He said it is finished on the cross. I say that many times. I said that many times in sermons, is that it's so important to start running your Christian walk where Jesus Christ finished. How can you tell that somebody is not doing that? Because I can say something really beautifully, like, yeah, of course, I start believing that and I walk where Jesus Christ finished. But there are many signs that you can sometimes see in your life where you actually haven't really fully embraced this truth that I'm just sharing with you. I will give you at least 6. Alright, it's not in your manual. But these are things that I think sometimes we can embrace as good-hearted Christians. We meant it right, but it's working against us. First of all, you are not start running where Jesus Christ finished if you still look at yourself as your true identity, as if there is something wrong with you. Remember your true identity, your spiritual you. You are a new creation. Doesn't mean that your thinking, desiring, all of the stuff is aligned yet. That needs to change still. But your spiritual you, if you say something different, like, no, I don't believe it to be true, what you're actually saying is, God, your work was not so good. Your work, because you measure yourself by your flesh, by your senses, what you experience in your life. That's not walking by faith. That is walking by sight. Another reason that I think is so common, and to see where people are not walking where Jesus finished His work, is if you're still trying to strive to be a better person by works. Oh, I messed up. God, I promise I will not do that again. I will really be a good boy this time. I know I saw that movie. I shouldn't have watched it. I feel so bad about it. Next time I won't do it. Okay, God? I mean, this is just one example. You might have several other examples as well. It's where you're making certain promises to God, trying to be a better person. It doesn't work that way. Another reason where we can see is that people that are not walking where Jesus Christ finished, because that's where you need to start walking your Christian walk, usually have a very difficult time in accepting and embracing God's love. Because their experience of love might be, I love you, Amber, but now I expect something back from you. I love you, Beryl, and then Beryl thinks, what's the catch? Because there is always something transactional going on. We were raised that way. And somehow we might think that even of God. God did something amazing. What's the trick here? What's the catch? And that makes experiencing God's love as a free gift, something that He simply wants to do because He loves you, no strings attached, very difficult. And that's probably also the reason why you, instead of being loved by God, you want to do all kinds of things for God. Because somehow that will then equal the balance there. Another one, very important, because there is a void of love. If you don't embrace God's love for what it really is, you start looking for love and affection in either things or situations, but particularly people. Think about it, your spouse. If you put a certain burden on your spouse, that your spouse needs to treat you and love you in the way that you need to receive it, then you're only as good as your spouse is doing you. So if your spouse is not seeing something in you, alright, he's not seeing something in you, then that will determine your day. But the point is, separate from the person, let's say Peter and Sharon in this case, easy one. If Peter is not doing so in the way that she hopes she will be doing, and because of that her day is ruined, that is a sure sign that Peter needs to apparently fill a certain void in Sharon's life. And Sharon was never created to be that person. She was created to be a daughter of God that was unique, that is filled by God's love, and all she does is love Peter. I'm not saying that's easy. Sometimes we have certain expectations from one another. I'm not saying that that's not there, but it shouldn't be there. Alright? And finally, we still relate more to our inner world. What we think, what we feel, what we perceive, instead of living by faith. That's a sure sign that we know that we haven't fully embraced really what Jesus already did for us. It's only by God's grace in your life, through your faith. Don't take faith out of you take faith out of the equation thinking that God will do everything. God is not that person. God gave you a free will. So like, you can accept it, you can also deny it. I don't want it in my life. There are millions and millions of people that don't want it. And God still said, like, okay, I will still do what you want. I don't want it that way. But He doesn't violate that rule. We would violate it immediately. Being a parent, if Joshua or Rebecca would do a wrong choice, me as a father, Janine as a mother would probably say like, I should take the bad choice out of their life. So they can only choose good stuff. Well, let me ask you a question. Is that a choice? Do they have a choice then? They don't have a choice. If you don't have a choice, is love possible? Is love possible if you don't have a choice? No, they have to obey. They have nothing to say. A lot of people have problems with that. So like, God, why did you create it this way? I know that. I grew up in a family that looks at God particularly that way. So like, what, God, why did you create such a messy world that people just do whatever? It's because faith is still a very important aspect. You need to be on the receiving end. You need to want it as well. Living the life where we believe that God can transform us, His grace, is amazing. It is so different from trying to live the Christian life yourself. So different. Have you ever tried to struggle with a certain aspect of your life, call it a sin, call it a struggle, call it whatever, and you simply knew from the inside, like, you know what? I can't change it. What was your reaction? And I'm going to stop here. What was your reaction when you came to that point, realizing, like, you know what, God, I can't change myself. Anyone? Anger is a very good example because it just pops up without you even realizing it sometimes. How did you change that? How do you change it? Anyone?
Go to anger management.
I'm sorry?
Go to anger management.
Is it anger management?
No. I mean,
that's what the world says,
send
obviously.
people to anger management.
Yes, I understand. And that's still a form of legalism. If you think about it, it's still you trying to make yourself a better person. You can learn all the principles and all the stuff, and it might help you to a certain point. But if from the inside out something is not really transformed, if something happens, you can try to imagine and try to apply all those beautiful principles. When somebody rubs you the wrong way, the wrong time, and let's say you're tired and you're hungry and you're lonely and whatever, bah, there you go. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to stop here.